Okay, question for you. Do you know what probate is? And is it something you'll encounter in your life? Our expert in estate planning, David Carrier, is here to talk all about going back to the basics.
Back to the basics.
I know, David,
right.
It's interesting because the last several months we really have been focusing our attention on the PACE program, a lot of those other great programs that are there. But it's time really to remind people about the basics when they are doing estate planning. So let's talk about this when you have a trust.
Sure. We really have been focusing on that emergency stuff, and that's still available until next April. So don't forget that.
Don't forget that.
Right? But here's how, everyone's like, oh, probate's so terrible. But how does it work? And here's how it works, very, very basically. This is back when Terri had red hair.
Yes.
See? And Terri goes into the Meijer and she says, hey, or the other supermarket, not to be discriminatory. And before you know it, she winds up with a pile of stuff. This is you. This is how you are going through life. You own everything in your own name, like you're carrying your groceries around.
And that stuff could be my 401k, my house,
your house,
all those sort of everything,
checking account,
everything that I own,
the savings bonds mom gave you when you were a little kid.
Exactly. So all that stuff, and I basically am just carrying it around.
Exactly. Here you are trotting through, which is fine. It's your stuff. Deal with it, right? But
as soon as something happens to you,
when you slip and fall, yikes! You made a mess.
Yeah.
Right. You go from having complete control to no control at all. And that's when Justin Bieber comes out, also known as the probate
judge.
Probate, yeah, that's right. This is Judge Murkowski. I always love that. Anyway, here's the probate court comes out. The probate court's job, step around you, sorry about that, is to clean up the mess.
Okay.
Right? That's the job of the probate court. But the probate court is not alone. Along with the probate court comes probate costs. Right? This is 4 to 10% of your estate, according to AARP. Some ancient study that they did. Anyway, 80% of probate costs are
attorney fees.
Attorney fees. Yay! Why do we love probate so much? Because we get all the money. It's wonderful. Yay! Okay, so this guy shows up. This guy's right behind, and now, and this is very responsible.
This is a scarier one because he's awfully big, and I'm guessing that he's going to take a giant chunk out of all my stuff.
See, if you received help with long-term care, right? If you received help with long-term care, meaning if you got the Medicaid, the state of Michigan didn't give you that money, they want it back.
Right.
And they're going to get it back, and not 4 to 10%, I mean, everything, if you go through probate, okay? So that guy shows up, this guy's next, this guy's next. Now, how do you avoid probate? Well, you do a trust. This is a trust.
Okay.
And the way it works
is all your stuff goes into the trust.
Yeah. And what you're supposed to do is put it in the trust.
Okay.
Now, when you've got your stuff in the trust, and now you slip and fall, the stuff is in the trust, it's protected, hurrah. 96%, according to one survey I saw, 96% of these fail. Your trust is going to fail. The trust that you did, the trust that you paid X amount of dollars for, will fail 96% of the time. Maybe you're the 4%, but I doubt it. And the reason it fails is because you did not put your stuff in the trust.
Okay, so I need to ask you this question.
Sure.
So you get the trust, you have all the paperwork together.
Yeah, got the big binder.
Do
Wonderful.
people just assume then that that means that everything that's named in those documents is automatically protected?
That's
in the
what
trust?
they think.
Okay.
Exactly. And in the document, the CYA, we all know what that means. The CYA is, for the attorney, is they put a letter in there, and it's in your trust. Look through the binder, okay, you'll find it. And it says how to fund the trust. And they'll say, oh, don't forget to do this. You're going to forget to do it. Engineers do it. Nobody else does it. I got a farmer who did it. But that's not what happens.
And so at your team, you actually make sure this is a pivotal part of setting up the trust, is putting all your stuff in the trust.
You don't get your binder.
Okay.
You don't get your paperwork until you've been through the funding process. It's a 2 to 3 month process because it takes that long. It honestly does. And people blow it off, oh, it's no big deal. That's what I mean, it drives me nuts. That's why I don't have hair anymore. Because everyone, oh, it's so easy. It isn't so easy. Yeah,
we were asking, before, I think a couple years ago, we even met some people who are part of your trust funding department. That's their exclusive job. How many people do you have dedicated to this?
We have 10 folks in there.
10
in the trust
folks.
fund. Yeah. All they do all day is make sure things get in the trust.
Okay, so it's that complicated, yet that important.
And you would think they'd know how to do it by now. You'd think the banks and the insurance companies would all be on board, but they're not.
Okay.
Because nobody's doing it.
All right.
Okay, we've had to kind of pioneer that. So the result is, yes, you have a trust. You have a trust? Yes, you have a trust. But the stuff is still in your name. And because the stuff is still in your name, when you slip and fall, death or disability, the stuff still goes flying.
Okay.
The fact that you have a trust, irrelevant. Your will is just notes to this guy, and he don't read so good. This guy shows up, steps over you, and then, of course, you're right back off to the races. And the fact that you have a trust is meaningless. And this is what happens. We have a very active probate practice. We're mostly probating other people's trusts.
Okay,
the
yes.
wills that come with other people's trusts.
So
It's
let's
crazy.
talk about how people would get in touch with you. I know you are still running your life plan workshops.
We do
That's
the
a great
workshops.
place to start.
Yeah. Now, thank you, Terry, for the weather. You know, weather's getting lousy, so we've brought it inside. But instead of having 20, 30 people in a workshop, now we're having, 3 or 4
Right.
socially, it's a large room.
It is a very large room.
distanced.
Yeah, it's a very large room. It's very well ventilated, but you're keeping people apart.
We even
at
have
those tables.
ultraviolet now in the
Nice.
in the air ducts. I don't know if it works or not. I don't care. If it's something we can do, we're going to do it.
Right, because you want to make sure that you keep everybody safe. And, of
Yeah.
course, you have offices all over West Michigan. How would people connect with you if they're interested in either signing up or getting an appointment?
I'll tell you, if you go to the website, davidcarrierlaw.com, there's, the EightWest segments on there. There's the radio show on there. There's the newspaper stuff that we're doing. It's all there. But the easiest thing you can do is pick up the phone. Just call us. We got 4 people answering the phone. They're very nice. Maybe 5. Anyway, just call. They'll get you set up. They'll get you where you need to go. And I'll tell you, one of the things that's really happened, we used to say you have to come to a workshop first. We're not doing that anymore. Nowadays, if you want a direct appointment, that's okay too. Because a lot of people, they don't want to be in a room with other folks. I get it.
Yep.
And so it's just, but it's still working. We're still serving the folks. And if you're caring for a loved one at home, call.
Yes, exactly. Make sure you get signed up for
Jeepers.
the PACE before that goes away.
Yeah, April 1st.
Yeah, thanks so much, David. Great information.
Thank you, Terry.